confused, overwhelmed, stressed. Delve into the truth as we take on this world with eyes wide open. Join Vicki, Elle, Nikki, and Teresa, 4 women, 4 decades, here to discuss issues that affect you. Expect laughter, but we promise to be real and share God's truth as we let the video roll.
So are you going to click and then?
No, she's already going. We'll cut out.
Okay, got it. Okay.
No, we're not going to edit this. We're not editing this out. She wants us to edit this out. Are you kidding me? No. We're doing this WEWO style.
Yeah.
All right.
It's chill though.
We're winging it.
Hi, and welcome to With Eyes Wide Open. I am Elle.
I'm Teresa.
Nikki. Vicki.
And we are with a special guest, Kate McGovern. This is this is a special treat for me because this is my dear sweet friend of many years, and we are here in the Quad Cities to highlight amazing women who have stepped out in what the Lord has whispered to their heart and what He wanted them to do. Have you ever heard whisperings in your heart? Mm-hmm. Well, we are going to hear today from Kate McGovern about something that the Lord whispered to her heart and how she walked through that. So just get your listening ears on because this is going to be good. And so I just want to start in and Kate, hi.
I'm right here.
Kate, what did the Lord whisper to your heart?
I will love to tell you what the Lord whispered to my heart. Mm-hmm. It was actually about 22 years ago, mm-hmm. and it was in September, and I had my 12-year later miracle baby on my hip walking through Burger's Bagels. And as I was walking through Burger's Bagels, I heard the Lord say to me, "Do you see those women over at that table? You're going to minister to them one day." Mm. I didn't know the women that were at the table, but the Lord said, "I want you to thank me every day that you're going to minister to them." Mm. So I walked out of Burger's Bagels with my baby on my hip with a word that God had whispered into my heart. Yeah. And that was the beginning of a 10-year journey of every day saying, "God, I thank you that I'm going to minister to those women one day." And
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. Walking bike paths, lonely days, kids in school, being a mom, and spending a lot of time in prayer.
So you didn't see anything. Like the Lord whispered this to your heart, but did you see any movement in that?
I saw the women that He told me I'd minister to, so I had a good picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was 10 years later that I was invited at a graduation party to a Bible study, which I entered into this Bible study that was a city Bible study, and this is where I met Elle. Yeah. And they kind of made me the traveling leader. And so anytime I was sick, I was like, I'd fill in for that leader. Mm-hmm. And then what happened was after 3 years of being there, the Lord said, "You're done." And so I walked out to my car that day, and the Lord spoke to me, and He said, "There's not a Spirit-filled citywide Bible study, my daughter, and that's what you're going to start." Mm-hmm. So the following fall, a lot of the women had called me and said, "Are you coming back to this Bible study?" And I said, "No, I'm not, but I'm going to start something out of my home." So I had a group that came to my home, about 15 women, and then I had another group of women that I had to drive about 15 minutes across the city a half hour later and do the Bible study at their house. Well, I was running like this every week, and so eventually what happened, I said, "I'm going to start this in one place." And so what we did, and I was a part of that when I launched it, rented a place, and we did this every week. The women would come, we'd set up, I'd get their hours early, set up, and we would host a Bible study, and it went for 12 years, and I just passed it on last year.
Wow. And how many women would come? Because I know how many women would come because it was, it started with 15, and how many women came to this citywide Bible study?
Yeah, so I think we had 12 women in my house, and then went to the other gal's house, and there was probably about maybe 12 to 15 there. But when we started it, it was actually at the Women's Choice Center, we had 60, I think a couple times the women must even hit 80. And it was just amazing. And then after all those years, we pushed it to the library, and then we pushed it to my home, which was probably the last 5 years. And all these women have had incredible things take place in their lives. They're serving the Lord. They're in ministries. And the cool thing I think too, Al, is that it brought in like over 24 different churches.
That's what I was going to ask. Like
Yeah.
the across the face
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we had women who had never heard about Jesus being your personal Savior before. We heard women that didn't know about having a relationship. And so women who came in from denominational backgrounds began to enter into a personal relationship with Jesus, which began to transform their lives, transform their families, and they would bring their friends. And we had prayer on Fridays, and what would happen is a lot of them would come to prayer on Fridays, and a lot of them birthed their own ministries out of that. Now, a lot of them, my goal was always for them to start a Bible study after they had grown enough for that. And so now there's a lot of little pockets of Bible studies around the city, which is so amazing.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
So 10 years, that's a long time. So I know that it took faith to walk in, but practically, how hard was it to wait 10 years? And what did you do to keep yourself motivated to keep thanking God every day and praying about this?
You know, I think that's such a great question, but it was a mandate. So when God puts something on your life that you can't get away from, or if, you know, as if like God gives you a dream, no matter all the hard stuff you have to go through, the dream pulls you through the hard times. His word that he spoke to me pulled me through every time it didn't look like it was going to happen, and nobody knew about it but me. So I was the one that was accountable to him. And so every time I would say it, I had an expectation because I had heard him so clearly tell me that. So, and I know that he's not a God that he can lie. The scripture says he doesn't lie. So when he told me that, it was so out of my box that I knew it had to be God. But the beautiful part about destiny and dream is my character 10 years before was not ready to sustain that dream. I had to walk 10 years through trusting God to get to the place where I could sustain the dream of hosting that study that long. So
he's so good that way, isn't he? Because he knew that there were things that he wanted to accomplish in you to be prepared so that you wouldn't be taken out when you begin to walk in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's, you know, then you come into another cycle of life, and God just keeps doing these wonderful destiny cycles in our lives and takes us into these new places.
Yeah.
So for me, if God has spoke to anyone and has given them a dream in their heart or a word, or, you know, the Bible talks about it in Ephesians 1:17 through 19, that the eyes of our heart would be enlightened to the truth of the gospel. Well, there's also, we have our natural eyes that we see things, but we have our spiritual eyes to see things. So the spiritual eyes in there are the holy imaginations. So when I would say that, when I would say, Lord, I thank you, what the Lord would always show me was I would see women coming together. I would begin to see these pictures that I couldn't make up, but that God would put in my heart. So I had the image and I had the word. And I think, you know, faith is a substance of things hoped for, but yet not seen. So I had the vision of what he spoke to me. Now I just got to use my faith continually to go after that.
I loved you said holy imagination. I was just reading an article the other day, and that was the exact word they were talking about, is that Christians do not use their imagination for God. And we get so busy that we're so caught up in doing what we have to do that we've lost all of our imagination.
We don't have that white space in our life, that to be able to sit and be able to allow him to, you know, to give him our imagination.
So if you're from a community where there aren't a whole lot of prayer groups, that sort of thing, what advice would you give to women who want to start something like that?
Yeah, that's really a good question. I think what I would do is I would first just seek the kingdom of God first, because I know he'll add all those things to me. But I would ask Holy Spirit, give me that God-sent friend that I'm to stand, and that's to walk with me. And, you know, I didn't have anyone walk with me 10 years or walk that prayer through with me at all. I walked it by myself because it was what he spoke to me. But if God is asking you to start something, he's going to give you the people. When I said that every day, God, thank you that I'm going to minister, God knew that he was going to draw Ellen. He knew he was going to draw Jane in, Barb in, the ones that were with me as leaders. He knew who he would bring in, Joy in, and would help me do this because he knew I couldn't do it on my own. But that was the process that allowed me to get to where God was taking me.
So, it'll make it.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's switch this one for me. So, I have a question. So, you know, you were being prepared. We all know that up to this 10, years. Then, as you were in it, you know, we all have ministries that we're working on, and a lot of women watching this do.
you know, when you kind of get to those little setbacks, you know, what did, you know, you probably had some fast rules or something that you kind of recurrently did.
Yeah. So what was my action? You know, faith is an action. So for me, praise is everything. So when my house flooded after I had new wood floors put in it years ago, I literally danced in the water that was 2 inches deep and praised him. I learned to praise him in the storm. So it makes me praise her harder when things would come against me. My weapon has been praise. And I know that praise changes things, prayer changes things. So yeah, if I can put on the garment of praise, that spirit of heaviness leaves me, and I'm right back on course where God wants to take me.
And I think it's so good too, Kate, because you knew that God was faithful. So those times that, you know, he helps us get those memorial stones, those places where we step out in faith, and then he was faithful, he did that. So you had those experiences in your faith already, so that you knew that what that rhema word, because it's the difference logos and rhema word, so that you had that and you knew that he was faithful.
Amen.
You know, and so that's just, and so now you've stepped out in even a greater way, and I know your faith just, I mean, in everything in your life you keep on stepping out and more, but you've built those steps in those places of foundation.
Yeah, and you know, when I said I had my 1-year-old baby on my hip, I was actually the woman with the issue of blood. So I bled for 12 years and wasn't told I couldn't have children anymore. And then my older son, who was only in 3rd grade for 3 years, every day said, God, thank you for a baby brother. He started that prayer the day we were told by the doctors, and no one knew but my husband and I. So 12 years later, I find myself pregnant with this miracle baby that I'm not supposed to have. So when I'm walking through a Burger's Bagels with this miracle baby on my hip, what is you're going to minister to them someday? I mean, I already knew what God could do. And so that's the memorial stones you're talking about, Al. Because you know what? It was just me taking little by little those baby steps to continue it out. And you know what? I never really thought so much about it not happening. I guess I was more focused on what he asked me to do, and that was to thank him.
Because you'd already had the experience, and you think,
You know,
But that's good. That's a step. You know? That's so good. You didn't focus on what, you know, what wasn't going to happen or what wasn't happening. You focused on what he said.
Amen. Amen.
I'm just thinking about you guys listening, and you know, I know this with my life. I think we've all talked about this at different times together, but you might not be right now being called by God to some sort of big move like this, but because she's saying this, it's making me like encourage you to just really think and allow yourself to see God's hands in your life and to thank him even in just your day-to-day stuff. I think we have this independent world view where we don't even stop to think that God did that, and then we don't give him the thanks for that, so it doesn't get to really fully work in us. So just, you know, just that growing that we can do independently, and then slowly it gets more and more and more, it multiplies.
and I love the one thing you said about that the character of who you were wasn't your character wasn't good, but over that 10 years it changed you. Because when you said, I couldn't help but think, a woman gave me a word 10 years before I wrote my book and said, you're supposed to write a book.
There you go.
And so I said, okay, I'll write a book. And nothing ever came, and nothing ever came, and nothing ever came. And it wasn't until I was able to travel a lot and have these different experiences that God gave me that to write the book. And so that really clicked with me. That
They're
seeds.
seeds.
The seeds, that's right. And that if he's told you, he's got it for you.
That's right. Yeah, he's not gonna.
Amen. That's good. Say that again.
If he's told you, he has
got
it for you.
Yeah.
God said it, God's gonna do it.
That's right.
God said it, God's gonna do it. Yes, so, yeah.
Well, we've
so
taken
good.
her time, and we know that she
got
worked
appointments.
us in to be able to talk to
Worked
her.
you in.
Yeah.
She's busy for God.
That's right. That's
Busy
right.
woman for God. You know, we came into her house and we got cookies. We could have fruit. We got coffee.
We
there was
chose the
water.
cookies.
Yeah, they're busy
Very
eating
good.
cookies. But just a home of hospitality,
Yes,
a heart of
absolutely.
hospitality,
Yes.
and you know, you take the spiritual gifts or the motivational gift, serving, is like at my bottom thing because that was never taught to me. Kate has taught me how to. I'm not that great at it. But
I think
she's
you
taught me.
are.
Yes,
You
yeah,
are
she
too.
is.
Well,
You've done good, both of you.
If I was good, it's because Kate
Yeah,
taught me
There you
how.
go.
Good.
Good mentor.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to leave everyone with like a tip? A
Yeah.
little
Yeah, I do.
nugget.
Well, yeah, one of my favorite scriptures is actually Luke 18:1. It's a simple one, and that is pray
Jesus
never
wept.
give up. Yeah, not Jesus didn't want. Yes, he did weep, but not on this one.
Yeah.
But it's to pray and never give up on and Luke 18:1. But the beautiful part of this is it was the widow with the judge, and the judge was not feared God, nor did he fear man, but she did not give up. And then it says in Luke 18:8, will God find you full of faith when he comes back? Will he find you full of faith? When he's given you one little word, can you hold on to that little morsel and know that your big God can cover that small thing? And I love this, is that it's an easy thing for God to work in your life. It's a small thing for him to make these things come to pass. And so my encouragement is no matter what God has said, no matter what he has shown you, maybe in your heart, or what he keeps bringing to you, and maybe you haven't caught it yet, just know this. You were created with a purpose. You have a dream. You have a destiny. And there's three things. Believe that you have a purpose. Know that God's in control. And know that he's put gifts on the inside of you that are going to be used for his glory.
And
Amen.
use your holy imagination.
Yes.
All right.
So, Kate, I just want to thank you
Yes.
for spending time with us. And I also want you to know that you can connect with Kate at Real Life Restores. Is it .com?
.com.
.com. And so she has a ministry and she's a life coach. She's an amazing life coach. So just
Keep
want
going. You're doing pretty good.
And you can see
Go
she's
like
on
on Facebook, go like her
right.
page,
Yeah,
Instagram.
she's got a Facebook page too. So
Come say hi.
Yes.
check her out and connect with her. She's an awesome woman, woman of faith.
Enjoy these. Keep watching these videos.
Yes, and
Yeah.
subscribe.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
Ready
so
for
we're
our
going
verse?
to end with our verse from the Message translation, Colossians 4:2.
Pray diligently, stay alert, with eyes wide open in gratitude.
So join us as we step into
truth and
light
light with eyes wide